So, wow, so many feathers in his hat, right? And this is just his formal introduction. There is a lot more that we can learn from him today. So the latest feather in his hat, and the reason why we all are here on a Saturday morning, is his journey towards Docs Code. He started this journey in 2019 and explored Jamstack for a client, and he did that without any prior knowledge or experience. He took it upon himself and built this help site from scratch. For that, he had to do a lot of research. He did it on his own. He practiced, did more research, and delivered not just his project, but he also built his own site. As a side note, do check out his site. I will post his link in the chat box. It's awesome. You all can after today's session, you all can try the things that he teaches today and build your own site. So here we are today to learn from the master himself. Akash, if you're here, over to you. And uh, before Akash starts with his session, there are a few housekeeping guidelines that I'd like to share with you all. Uh, we will be taking questions. If you have any questions at any point of the session, you can post it in the chat box. If it is time sensitive, Akash will answer your question there itself. Otherwise, we'll take questions at the end of the session. Um, and the session will be recorded and shared later. So please stay on mute whenever you're listening. And yeah, stay attentive. Like Puneet said, there is a quiz at the end. So stay attentive, stay tuned. Over to you, Akash.
Hi everyone, and thanks Shrutika for a wonderful introduction. And of course, thank you TWT for this opportunity to share my knowledge. Uh, Shrutika, can I share my screen?
Yes, Akash, please go ahead.
Okay,
Yes,
thanks.
Akash.
Yeah, let me know when you all can see the screen.
Yes, visible.
Okay, thanks. So yeah, thank you all for joining on a Saturday morning as well. So I know weekends are really hard to, but yeah, this is where I'm going to share my knowledge about Jamstack sites today. So I will just get started with it. So in this session, we will like take an introduction overview of us, what are static site generators and what is Jamstack. Then we will actually hop on to demo that how you can build a Jamstack website using StackBit, and then we will also take a look at Netlify, where you can use it to deploy and host your site, right? Before we jump on to SSGs, first let's see how are traditional websites built. So I'm sure most of you like have been through a lot of websites, and we are always curious to do research and always look upon websites that are beautiful and like they provide information that you really want. But very few of us really think of what they are made of or what actually is at the working when it's about websites. So there is something called as the back end of a website. So where backend we can say it is where your content resides or the database or the servers or the code that your website is built on, which is called as a backend. And front end is something where your websites look and feel, the user experience, the UI and the styling and everything is what it's the front end, right? So you might have even heard of backend developers. There is a requirement of front end developers, and that is what the web developers do. And then there comes full stack developers who like work on the back end as well as front end. So thinking about this, all that comes obvious to the mind that we need to be developers to be webs to build our own website. But I think that that cannot be completely true right now with the changing technologies and the platforms that are available. So let's also see what are the challenges with traditional website. They take a lot of loading time. The heavier the website it takes time to build a server side, and then on the browser that you see. And then of course it needs SEO optimization to have your website listed in different search engines. And then it also should support multiple devices where it can be viewed on mobile phone or a tablet, laptop, and so on. And files rendered on the server side may take more time depending upon how heavy or how huge the website is. So when you request for a website, you might have also noticed that all the content may not appear at once. So it might be the text first and then the images loading slowly and so on. So that is why when you request for a website, it takes time to render your request or to work upon your request and then deliver it what you have asked for, right? So let's see what are static site generators. We'll go through it, have an introduction. So they are also called as SSGs, which are static files in the form of data, content, or templates, which can be in the form of HTML, Markdown, or any markup languages. And then, unlike traditional websites, they do not require any web programming or database design. So it is just about it has all the set of configuration files at one end, and it has content files at the other, where it builds a website for you using the content files and the configuration files. That is why we can say they are pre-rendered. So by pre-rendered, we can say they are built before even the website is requested. So it is that is why we called a build time during SSGs. So they are not actually uh, built when the user requests for it, but they are just pre-built and saved on a CDN. CDNs are content delivery networks where the static site generator is stored, and whenever a user types a address or a request for a particular page, the site is already there. It is just delivered to the user instead of building at that moment when the request is made, right? So there are certain advantages of SSGs. Three major areas are security, uh, performance, and scalability. So let's quickly take a look at each of it. So security is because since SSGs are they are not really server based, they are stored on a CDN, which have good security profile, because there is no surface actually. So since there is no server, there is no question of malicious attacks on the server. And also the hosting that is required is not as complicated as the actual website or the traditional website would need. So it needs all the databases configured and the server and everything. So it is not really that hefty when it comes to static site generators. And of course, it requires few servers which handle actual request. So therefore, we can say that there is no server more secure than the one that does not actually exist, right? And then talking about scalability, so each page is ready to serve without additional server work for each request. Since we talked about pre-built, so as your site will be already built and placed on a CDN, so it won't need any computational power at that moment when a user requests for a website. So it is already ready. The build process is completely automated. So the moment you make a change to a website or a SSG, that you will make it will pre-built and keep your website ready. So we will actually see this in the demo as well, that the moment we push a change to a website, it starts building and it keeps your website ready. And since everything is cached in CDN and served directly, it is more easy, and you can say it is more scalable rather than working towards scalability of a database. And of course the performance is faster because it does not require any special machinery to generating each view. And the CDN also reduces the actual travel time that it takes for the user to serve what he has asked for through a website, rather than in the traditional website building the complete website at the user's request. So that is the reason the lag time or the delivery time of the content is faster in an SSG. And of course, the planning and budgeting of the infrastructure is not to that high extent. So you do not require any special servers. You do not require to think of your database where it should be located and so on. That is what it makes easy on the performance side as well, right? Then these are some of the popular SSGs. There are of course many more, but I am sure you must have pretty of you might have heard of these, which are like widely used. So the choice of SSGs depends upon different factors. It may be what framework it is using, what language or markup language it is using, and so on. So that choice is left upon the user, how he wants to build his static site. Then let's move on to Jamstack. So we saw what our SSG is before for a reason, because Jamstack uses a static site generator. So static site generator is a you can say a Jamstack. Every static site generator is may not be a Jamstack site, but every Jamstack site is a static site generator. That is because the major difference between a SSG and a Jamstack can be said as the JavaScript part, which stands for J part. So the you can say the front end or the front end framework, which is taken care by the JavaScript, is what the main differentiator in the Jamstack sites. So we will just decode what is JAM and Jamstack. So JAM is first is the JavaScript, which is in charge of displaying the content to the user and ensuring a great user experience, right? So since we talked about the website is about the front end and the back end, which really depends how the user is going to like take a user experience of the website, how the UI is going to be. So that care is taken by the JavaScript, and Jamstack just appears a flexibility for you to choose which framework you want to use and how you want to use it, right? And then there is A is for APIs. So APIs are where, so of course, since the we are separating the front end from the back end, so there has to be a communication between what the user is asking and what we should deliver to a user. So that part is taken care by the API. So while we build Jamstack site on a visual editor, of course we don't have to take care of that. The coding part is like taken care at the back end, but there has to be a medium of communication which APIs take care of, act as a medium of communication between the JavaScript part and the markup, which is the M. So that is the content part. So since static site generator is a pre-built markup and it is delivered to a CDN, that is a content delivery network. So with this approach, the server will not have to work in real time on new requests, but instead work only when the new changes are made to any content or assets, right? So instead of using a traditional CMS or a site builder, what Jamstack does it splits the code part, which is the JavaScript, the site infrastructure part, which is the APIs that will handle the request, and the content part, which is the markup, right? So this is what the Jamstack is all about. Then moving on to a definition of Jamstack. So according to Matthias Billman, a modern web development architecture based on client side JavaScript, reusable APIs, and pre-built markup. So that is how he has defined a Jamstack. So it is not really a new technology. It is just how a modern web development architecture is defined, right? So the main, you can say, a benefit of it is we can choose that we can actually choose how we want to build a website, what components that we want to pick, right? That is the reason Jamstack Web is faster, it is more secure, and it is easy to scale, right? And of course, it is pre-rendered and decoupled, enabling the site to be delivered with a greater speed. So pre-render is what we saw is pre-built, that we built our website even before delivering it to the user when they actually request for it. And decoupled is something where it uses a headless CMS. So headless CMS is something where we have two parts, that is a presentation part for a CMS and the actual content repository. So when we say decoupled, the presentation part is separated from the content repository part. So that is what we say as a decoupled architecture. So to generate the markup which represents a view in advance of, so it gives a view in advance whenever it is required. So this happens during a build rather than on demand, so that the web servers do not actually need to perform this activity for each request received. So only it will pre-build when the actual changes are made in the website, rather than doing it every time the user requests for a particular web page. So it separates the front end pages and UI from the backend apps and the databases, right? So this is what the workflow is, differentiation between a Jamstack workflow and traditional. So first taking a look at traditional, you see a developer writes the code and pushes it to the servers. Then the servers entirely build the HTML on demand and it delivers to the browser what the user has requested, right? Whereas in Jamstack, the developer writes code and pushes it to a static site generator, where a static site generator builds the file and ships it to the CDN, right? And CDN serves the pre-built files on demand. So whenever the user requests for a website or requests for a particular part of the content, that content is already built and is present in the CDN. The job is just to deliver that pre-built files on demand. Then this is about why Jamstack. So I will not go this in detail again, because since Jamstack is what uses SSGs, the advantages are similar to an SSG and the are similar to SSG. So faster performance because it is pre-built and everything is over a CDN. It is more secure because you don't have to worry about the databases. Then it is less expensive because it doesn't require a hefty or complicated hosting infrastructure, and better developer experience because the front-end developer can focus on the front end, whereas the content part, as we as a tech writers can focus only on the content part. So the actual look and feel of the website is not we have to completely own it. So there are a lot of configuration files which can the developer can focus on. If we see the traditional website, a single person has to like decide on the content. So even if the writer provide it, it is we who have to like review it back whether they have actually put it correctly onto the website. So that is what the separation helps. And the scalability is because even if the traffic or the particular page experiences heavy traffic, the CDMs seamlessly compensates it, right? Then these are some challenges with Jamstack. So of course it is we can say not that content editor friendly because you have to know certain markup languages. Updates is coding. Whenever you want to make look and feel updates, of course you have to know certain type of parameters, and then dynamic features requires more heavy lifting, that is dynamic features which are not readily available for a particular Jamstack or SSG, so that may require extra coding. And of course your APIs and third party system is what makes the communication happen between your content and the front end, and if that goes down, maybe your site can go down as well. So considering all these factors, do you really think Jamstack is the future? Well, I can say it is yes and no as well, right? So it is yes because it is more focused on separation where the front end and the content part we talked about, and a no because it may require that technicalities, and to maintain a website it may need that expertise. So talking about all this, you may again think, okay, so all I talked about is that a person should require that technical knowledge and he should know so and so things. But the whole purpose of this is what we are going to break down is we, even if it requires that knowledge, we are still going to build a website, which is what we are going to use a stack bit. So so not worrying about what code we have to write, where we have to make configuration changes to make a certain look and feel change. So that is the myth what we can break about when we build a site using StackBit. So just few lines on StackBit. So it is a SaaS product that allows to build Jamstack sites. It takes all the tools required for site stacks. So we saw that there are different stacks, so JavaScript, APIs, and markups. So we don't really have to think of it. It just takes the required tools and it bundles them together on its own. That is what it does for us. And it also gives a visual interface to build or edit site instead of struggling with Markdown or Git code, right? So just a short disclaimer before we move to the demo. So of course, I'm not a marketer of StackBit and Netlify. So these are individual products, and my sole purpose is to share knowledge, uses, and exploration is at the user's discretion. So of course, there are other tools to explore as well, but this is what I like the most with my opinion, right? So going ahead, these are some prerequisites. So GitHub account is not a mandatory one, but of course, if you're looking at making changes from GitHub, you need to have it. And it is good to have knowledge of Markdown HTML and CSS and many and others maybe markup languages, depends upon what the Jamstack site for that particular site it is using. So if it is using a markdown files as content, you may need to have a bit of markdown knowledge, and if it is using HTML, you may need to have a knowledge bit of HTML. And I'm pretty sure learning markup language is not that hard these days, and as a writer, if we are going to build something having an innovative combination of technology and on the content part, of course we have to move a step ahead is what I think, right? So there are just three steps in building a site using StackBit. So pick a theme, sign up to StackBit, and of course there is no step three. So is everyone with me so far?
Yes, Akash.
Okay, great. So let me share my screen back again, where we will just hop on to the demo part. Let me know all when you can see the screen.
It's visible,
We can
Akash.
see.
Okay, thanks. So this is where I'm stackbit.com. So this is what the landing page of it. So we will just hop on to creating the site. So I will say try the beta. So they are right now into a beta version. So the earlier one what Shrutika talked about was, so when I worked with Stackbit earlier, they had a V1 version and now they have launched a V2 version. So I will come to the changes later when we have time. So right now I will just focus on where we are right now. So these are the different themes that Stackbit site allows. So these I mean we can say we are building a StackBit site, but these are the different themes that they have made readily available for us without needing for us to go and make the you can say configuration changes to change the look and feel. So we just can go ahead and pick up a theme. So for now let me start with this theme. So I just have to say start with this theme. I have to give a name for my project. So I will just say Jamstack demo, and I have to say create site. So it will take uh, a moment to like build it and present me with its visual editor. Okay, so this is the visual editor of the StackBit. So what we are working on will be a Jamstack site, but with the advantage of visual editing. So everything we edit will be the changes will be made in the code at the back end, which we don't have to worry about. We just have to go ahead and uh, build or design our site the way we want, right? Let's see the important part. So I will not go into the settings of each one of it in detail. I would love all of you to go ahead and explore, but I just would share what are the possibilities that you can do, right? So going into global styles. So global styles is where you can globally change the look and feel of your site. So there are three parts. One is the textiles, one is the color palettes, and the third is the button styles. So let me just show you what actually changes it will make. So for example, if you observe this title, so if I change my global style of font of headings and subtitles to maybe a font secondary, you will see a change that will be there instantly in my font, right? So this is what you are doing. So you are not even working in the markdown file or at the code level, but you are just making the changes on the fly with the visual editor. Then if I move into color palettes, so for example, the button for get started, let me just change a color for reference, right? So the moment I make changes, the changes are like displayed on the visual editor as well. So this is what the global style. So there are different options, the lot of things that you can change depending upon the look you want, right? And then hopping on to the content editing, so where you can edit the content again without going to the actual file. So I can just select the content and directly edit it here. So I can say which is my content is editor as well, or I can go to the page pane as well. So I can directly go to that particular content and edit it there itself, or if I want I can just go to the page pane. So if you see, it has taken me to the page pane. I am on that particular page. And if you see, there are different sections on this page. So every page has different sections and which are defined by StackBit as presets, right? So if I click that particular section, if you see, this is the title of that section. So if you see Jamstack demo hero is the section type. So then I can move below. This is the another section which again is a quote type, right? So there will be a lot of sections that will be readily available. You don't have to, I mean, prepare new or anything like that. So right now I will just have this section, okay, and then I can make changes from here as well, right? And there it is, okay. Then creating new pages, right? So there is no limit on how many pages you can create. So there is one way where you can create a page from here. So if you click this particular part, it will show you like what actually the structure of your site is. So this is the home page, this is about page, this is blogs, and there are different blog posts in it, right? So I can either create it from here or I can create it from here. So if I click this, it gives me the same option, right? And slug is nothing but the path of your page, and this is the title of your page, and these are the different presets that are available for your page. So this is the empty page. They have like already have a preset. This is the landing and this is the about page. And posts are nothing, since we have a blog category of page, so the blog post will be for that particular page. So let's go ahead and create a page for now. So I will just say add new page. I will select the empty page for now and give it a title as maybe a Jamstack again, and the path I will name my file Jamstack, and if I will say create. Okay, so my page is created, right? But I have to make use of this page where I have to like obviously link it somewhere. So there will be a number of options the way you want to link it, whether you can want to link it to a button, whether you want to add a link here. So right now let me add a link here. So if you see, if I hover over it, it gives me a plus icons. So if I click this plus, it will give me what I want to create. So I will say a link for now and I will select, and it has created a new link, and I can click on it and go into its edit. So where I can edit the label, I can say Jamstack, and then I have to give a path to that link, obviously, right? So I will just say Jamstack, the page that we have created, and the stylings and all as are available the way you want to style your link and so on, right? So how do I preview my changes? So I have to preview it before it goes live, right? So this is the preview icon that you have. So if I click this, it will actually give you a preview of your actual website and removes the visual editing part. So if I click Jamstack, this is where I have linked it the page that we have created. And if I click, it will take me to that page, right? So all we have done this at the expense of visual editing. We have not touched the code, but of course there has to be code at the backend because we have a Jamstack site and we have SSGs and we have content in the form of markdown files and so on, right? So this is about creating pages. Of course, you can edit the sections as well. So if I go to home, for example, and if I want to edit this particular section. So the section styling is available here. So I can move the sections as well as I can change the styling as well. So the way I want my section to look. So if I make changes, you will see that the visual changes that are happening in that particular section. So I selected the margins and you saw the way the section was presented, it changed how it was earlier, right? So there are a lot of different options that you can like edit for your website, whatever the theme is providing for now by the Stackbit, right? So the content editing part, we created a page, and then let's see. So this is nothing but a CMS, whereas it gives a presentation of your content in your website. So for example, I have 3 pages is what it's showing me. I have blog 1, I have post 5. The site configuration is where you can like add a change a favicon. So favicon is something. So if you see in the title itself, you have a small icon next to your website title. So that is what is a favicon. And there are what you can say footer configuration and so on is what you can edit. So I won't go into it right now, but these are the possibilities that you can completely personalize your website. So everything, so it won't leave any mark that you have created using a particular an application. So like for example, some applications will leave a mark that they have created using WordPress or they have been created using so and so. But it allows you this freedom without even having a name of Stackbit that is it is created with Stackbit. So that is what I liked about this. Okay, so this is what CMS gives you, and then code is where it will show you your configuration files, the actual configuration files that the website is built on. So it will take a moment to load. Yeah, so these are my set of files, right, that my site is built upon. So this is the content part, and then there are different configuration files. So the major challenge for me as a tech writer when I was exploring was to find out the exact configuration file where I have to make certain configuration changes. So that is where if someone is into like knows about developing, he can definitely be very make those changes with ease. But for me, I had to locate that configuration files and make particular changes, right? So now let's see. So this is my index.md, which is the home page, right? And okay, we are right now. Okay, we are right now at the home page. So let's make a change through the code part, right? So we will change something at the code level and see the changes happening over here. So I have to locate Jamstack demo. Okay, so this is where my title is. So I will just change it this one. Okay, let me change this one. So I will just say editor from code. Okay, so this is where the changes happen. So even if you're working on the visual editor, the code is being changed at the backend without your knowledge, right? But everything has to be like at the code level, because of course you're working on Jamstack site, which is can also be called as Docs code, what we like as tech writers are moving on to, right? And then let's like yeah, so we saw content editing, we saw editing here by code, we added pages. Now the thing is that we want this site completely as a GitHub repository. So that is what it allows, and that is where we can say we can make changes from GitHub as well, right? So if I click this icon, it gives me settings where this is my site name. So if I go to advanced, you will see the static site generator it uses. So next.js is what it is using as our static site generator for the Jamstack site. So the earlier version of Stackbit, what I liked was they also provided pick and choose which static site generator we want to use and which headless CMS we want to use. But I don't know, they have restricted in this version that they are using next.js by default and Git as a CMS by default. But okay, let that be, and we will just request repo transfer. This is when my complete set of files will be transported as a repository, transferred as a repository to the GitHub account that I have. So for this, of course, you will need your GitHub account. So I will say repo transfer, and you will see it has sent me an invite to my email. So I will just switch to my email, and I will receive a mail. Okay, so if you see, I've received a mail. And then this is where I have to accept the request transfer. And if I switch back to my site, okay, so it has been transferred with this name. Okay, I will just open it into GitHub. So I will say open. And this is my complete source files for my website. Okay, so I have it like I have a visually edited, but even if I want to work through GitHub or want to have a repository copy, This is what I can have. So I can stay in sync with the changes I made visually and the changes I have on my GitHub repository. Okay. So before we make any changes to GitHub, I just want to switch back to the presentation. So did you follow what I walked through? Is there anything quickly you want to ask? Hello?
Hi, Akash, Nupur here.
Hi.
Yeah.
I had one question. So every time we make a change to at the Jamstack site, we have to send those changes to the GitHub repository, right?
No, it will be done automatically when your repository is connected to the GitHub. So I connected it now, right? So whatever you
Yeah.
changes make now, they will be transferred to your GitHub as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So these are some more examples of Jamstack site builders. I have not explored them much, but if you want to try it out, these are here. Then I want to move on Netlify demo because I want to show how Netlify allows continuous deployment whenever you make a change into site using GitHub. So let me switch back to Netlify. So can you see my screen? Still see my screen?
Yes, Akash.
Okay, okay. So let me say add new site. So I have just went to netlify.com and I have logged in through GitHub. So I just not showing those steps to like for times constraint. So I have already logged into Netlify using GitHub and I have come to this place where I will say import an existing project. Then I have to say GitHub because I want to connect my GitHub repository. So let me configure where I will allow my repository to be shared with Netlify. So I will select the repository. So which is this one, and I will say save. Okay, and this is the repository I connected, and I will just click. And Netlify will take the settings and everything on its own. And then I just have to say deploy site. So it is not just that you can use a Jamstack, sorry, a Stackbit to like deploy on Netlify. If you go to jamstack.org, for now I will just say Jamstack. Yeah, jamstack.org. So there are a lot of static site generators, and you will directly see options to deploy to Netlify, which uses Netlify as a deployer. But the standout for Stackbit is for this you will not get visual editors because these are purely you will have to work in code and then just use Netlify to deploy, right? So okay, so my site is building. I connected that particular repository and it is now building. So if I click it, it will show me complete logs, right? So the build part or the deploy part is done by Netlify here, where it will install the dependencies if you see uh, what it is doing. And once it is deployed completely, it will show you that the site is live and the deploy is complete. Okay, so it is okay, it is still and it is live. Site is live and you will get this preview button. So if I click this, so this is my live site using Netlify. Ah, did I connect the wrong repository? I think. Okay. Huh. I think yeah, sorry. Yeah, there was one point. So we made changes to the site. What we did was we transferred the repo without publishing the changes, right? So that is what had happened. And for I think Nupur asked the question, right? So do we need to transfer to GitHub? So what we need to do is whenever we make changes, we have to publish. That is what it will push the changes to GitHub repository. So I just missed this point. Apologies. So I will just say publish site, and this publishing time will take depending upon how much changes you have made into the site. That is the reason I did not make very heavy changes. So the more the changes they are, that's how much time it will take, right? So the time it is getting published. So the expectation here is once you have that repo in GitHub and you add that import that using Netlify, when you preview, you will see the site that is live. So Netlify will give its custom domain that your site is already live. And if you want to like customize your domain, you can just buy a domain and go into the domain settings of your site and add that domain. So the main difference is you will not really require a separate hosting infrastructure or a separate hosting cost. The hosting will be done by Netlify. What you will need to do is just have a separate domain if you want to buy, right? And Netlify is also not completely free. So if I go into the main page, you will see this is what it give offers as a free, you can say free usage. So this is the bandwidth I can use, and these are the build minutes I can use, right? So it is still publishing. Okay, we can take any questions till it gets published.
Hey Akash, this is
Yeah,
Neenal. I have
yeah,
one question.
yeah.
So, for example, my help content is built in Oxygen XML. So,
Mhm.
how, is there any way where I can import those pages or that content into this site? How that can be done?
And in what format will be the authoring in Oxygen? You mean the
Data
markdown?
XML.
Data,
No, data.
data. I'm not sure whether static site generator can use. From my side, I think it can only use markup files, that MD, ASCII docs, and
Okay,
HTML and all. So I'm
okay,
not sure whether it can use data.
okay. But if I have markup files, then how can I import multiple files into this site? Do I have to create empty pages manually and then import those files? How that process is?
For now, the process is through GitHub. So once I set a directory is where my content will be published from GitHub. So that
Mm,
is from where the files will be pulled whenever
okay,
the changes are made. So it won't be
okay,
directly from Oxygen. So it will
okay,
be
okay.
GitHub will
Got it.
be, yeah. So
Okay.
it will work as Doxers code where GitHub will be the repository.
So it only supports GitHub, not SVN, right?
Uh, I'm not exactly sure, so I cannot say yes completely. I will have to
Okay,
research about it. I can
okay.
definitely research for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks,
Yeah,
Akash.
yeah, sure. Thank you. Okay, so it is published, and so this is the domain that is provided by StackBit for now. So if I paste this in chat, sorry.
Akash, I
Yeah.
wanted to know, like, uh, often, we always, whenever we make some documentation side, we always have a wish or a desire that we also have a PDF associated with it. So when you are doing this PDF or when you try adding PDF, the arguments for PDF or parameters for PDF in MQDocs or Sphinx, it is a bit difficult. And even the the result of PDF is like it is very huge uh, in size basically. So you will get hello.
Yeah, yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah. So what do you do to, come across, like overcome that challenge? Or here, can I generate a PDF or something?
No, this I can say is completely about website. So it has it does not have any relation with respect to PDFs here. So whatever you are defining or you are creating, you're using static site generators, which are completely for a web help or an online help. So PDFs are not playing a part here.
Okay, Akash, thanks.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Xavier, we can take your question if it's a quick one, or else we can let Akash continue.
There's not a question. There's just a answer to what Minal had asked about the data, right? There is a plugin that you can use for data to Markdown, and then so you can convert all your data XML files to Markdown, and then you can
Okay.
plug it into an SSG. I've done that, so
Okay.
yeah, I know it works.
Thanks, Xavier for
Thanks,
answering.
Xavier. But is that plugin a free one or we have to
Yes,
buy
it
it?
is free. It is free.
Okay, thanks, Xavier. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. So, Mugdha, I was trying to send in the chat the link. I'm not able to find the chat option. I don't know why.
You'll have to okay.
Okay, I actually wanted to share this link so that everyone can open. I mean, it is a public site now. That is what I wanted to show, but I don't know why
Avkash, this is part
yeah.
of your presentation, right? The links you are sharing, right?
This was just part of the demo that I walked through, that I wanted to like have everyone get the feel that the site is like whatever we saw right now is a live site, and it is ready to be shared, and it is hosted using Netlify. So yeah.
You can message to Mugdha. She can post it because you
Yeah,
are
you can message me on directly either on
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Okay. So we are almost done. Just we stuck at that the changes didn't reflect from GitHub to Netlify because we just transferred the repo before we published the changes onto Stackbit. So that is what happened, right? So if I make let's make the changes quickly right now. The last part that we will do. So I will go to config.js. So this is the site structure that we have. So you see Jamstack is what we added, right? So I will just edit it and okay, I will just copy this just for the demo and I will make changes here. I will say GitHub, okay, and I will commit these changes. So it is expected that the site will start building the moment I make changes. So in moments it should start deploying and it will create a deployment with the changes that I have made. Okay, so yeah. So did you see it started building? So I did not initiated a build, but the moment I committed these changes, it started building. So meanwhile it builds, let me go to the domain settings and show you. So I can edit the site name here. So it's very vague here. So I can actually have a meaningful domain, but this will follow by netlify.app, right? Because we don't have a paid domain. That is what it will follow. And whatever we make change here. So for example, okay, so you actually all can go to Jamstack demo feb.netlify.app and let me know you can view the site. So it is now uploading. The deployment is complete. So in the meanwhile, again, I want to show that so Netlify is again used by some of the orgs as well. So I just want to give a reference of there is an organization called as Midtrans, which has its repository complete doc site on GitHub, which is open, of course, and you can like clone it and try it out if you want as well. And if I go down, you will see that there is something called as deploying to production, and it says that this is auto deployed via Netlify for this particular thing, and then after it is finalized, it is pushed to their main doc site, which is docs.midtrans. So if I open this site, you will see it is actually built using Netlify, and you can see the way it is built. So this is I won't say this is built using Stackbit, but what I want to show is this is what I mean the organizations can usually use for continuous deployment. So whatever changes are made in the site, so those are deployed and the site is pre-built. So this is a static site which is pre-built, and whenever the user would request for a particular help, it is actually a pre-built site and not built during the request, right? So if I go to, so it is published, so I will go to it and say preview. And so this is what the tab we added from GitHub, or the link that we added from GitHub, right? So yeah, this is all. So what I wanted to show this, so there is, I can say, a lot to explore, a lot to learn by yourself. And the major challenge as tech writers is identifying the customization files. But once, like when I was working on my website, so I did a lot of research and exactly pointed out, and I learned some things on my own to edit the CSS and so on. But I can say it is possible and achievable if you like put your heart out to, if you really want to it. And this is also an ideation if you want to build it along with your tech team and all. And yeah, so I think that's all from my end, and thank you very much. And I will again move back to my presentation. So so we saw a Netlify demo. These are some references that I have used. The deck will be shared with you. And thank you. You can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So yeah, thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, Akash.
Yeah.
So before moving ahead to the Q&A, so as Puneet mentioned, we have a quiz, a small quiz for you. So I'll share the link in the chat. Just a second. Puneet,
Should I stop sharing my screen?
yes, Akash.
Okay.
Okay, we have posted the link. So we exactly, all of you exactly have 1 minute.
Yes.
The responses will stop at 1 minute. So please go ahead.
So your time starts now. Yes. Puneet, around 30 seconds must be remaining, right?
Yep.
DJ Banerjee is saying it isn't loading. DJ Banerjee, can you please try
It
load?
should load. We can't help that right now. Sorry for that.
Yeah, must be some network issue.
Yeah. Okay, so last 5 seconds. Time over. 2 seconds for anybody last. Just click submit. That's all. Thank you. Mukta, you can go ahead.
Yes, so we will announce the winners after the Q&A. All right. So we will take up the questions now. So Akash, I think, yeah, Ashish has asked when we have good templates offered by sites like Wix or WordPress or Gitbook, then why use Jamstack? After some quota usage, I will still have to pay them when my load on documentation increases. So this is the question by Ashish.
Okay, so the sites like Wix and all, I don't think they provide you the code level or the code repository. So you will be just working at the visual editor, but you will not have access to the configuration or the code level part. Am I right? So that is the reason why Stackbit or Doxers code is widely used. So there is if I have a minute, so Jamstack had earlier a beautiful doc theme. So can I go ahead and just show it for a moment?
Yeah, sure, Akash.
Yeah. thanks. So let me share my screen again. So can you all see my screen?
Yes, Akash.
So this is the site we created. So you see they have said that we have launched V2. This is my actual site that I created using the old editor, and this is the site that they had, the theme that they had in the earlier version, and I really liked it, and I had conducted a session earlier using this particular theme, and it exactly goes with what we can expect as a doc site. So the quota you mean, so that is for the you can say Netlify or the limitations with StackBit if you're saying, but the docx as code is completely free. I mean the working in it or the scalability of it, you will not have any thing that you will be charged there, except for the hosting if it is not allowing to be hosted on a particular limit that is allowed freely, then of course they will have to upgrade to a particular plan. So yeah, meanwhile this loads, did I answer the question?
Ashish? Okay, we'll move on to the next question.
Okay.
Komalreet Kaur has a question. So does it come with chatbot capabilities or integration with other open source chatbot builders?
I think that is again a part of a configuration. So me being limited with technical knowledge, so but I think there should have been possibilities if it allows you to build a website. I'm sure it should have the capability of letting you build chatbots as well. But I cannot, like, I have not tried it out, so I cannot be very like sure about my answer. But since it has the it allows you to have a website, so definitely it should have an option to integrate your chatbot as well.
Okay.
Just one addition here, Mugdha.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
think someone answered this question. Xavier, I think he answered this question that APIs can be, third-party APIs can be used
Right.
Right,
to
right,
include a
right,
chat
right,
box.
right. So there is the next question is by Shrutika itself. So she is asking, she has two questions. On an average, how much does this ecosystem cost? And tell you the next question after this one. How much does
Okay.
this ecosystem cost? Yeah,
You mean the setup of
the
StackBit as
setup.
well as Netlify, or just
Is
StackBit?
that right,
Ye-
Shrutika?
yes, Akash. So my second question is, in continuation with the first one, because I have a documentation site which has more than 2,000 help pages,
True.
which
True.
are right now in HTML format. So how much on an average does it cost this whole ecosystem?
Uh, I may not be exactly. That actually depends upon how much load is going to be there.
Correct.
So these are the different plans that they have. So if you see in the free version, they are using Next.js as a SSG and Tailwind as a
Mm-hmm.
CMS, you can say. And then as they charge, this is what they can offer is what they say. So
Okay.
in free version, it's only about one person working on it. I think when so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, up to 5 collaborators they are saying. So when it's paid, they are charging up to 10. They are like allowing up to 10 collaborators and all. So the ecosystem, I can say, depends upon how much extent or the actual usage or the need of that system will be. So analyzing everything, that how much load it can take or it has to be with that particular site, may it be a StackBit or may it be a Netlify. Then for Netlify, it again depends that how frequent the changes are. So if it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be like every day, if it's going to be every day, the Netlify will, or the any, not just Netlify, but any deployment website will have to build your site, pre-built your site for every change. So that is also what has to be decided. So
Mm-hmm.
there are some cases where all the changes will be reviewed, and at a particular day only they will be merged with the main branch, and that is when the site will be pre-built. Because if it, like, the changes are merged every day, it is not convenient, you can say, that it will pre-built every day, because the site will be heavy and it will take that much amount of time as well, right? The advantage is when it is building, your site is not down, so just the changes are not available, but your still the site is up.
Okay. Thank you so much for the detailed answer, Akash. Because see, whenever we have to choose a documentation system, the whole
Yeah, yeah,
ecosystem, we need to consider these points also
true.
for to uh, analyze the feasibility.
Yeah, yeah, true, true. So there are a lot of considerations that play in
Yes,
part. So it is not just as a content part or the look
correct.
and feel part. So there are the usability and the feasibility, how the writers would be able to work and so on. So there are a lot of considerations that we have to take care of.
Correct. Thank you so much, Akash. Mugdha,
Sure.
this answers my question.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks Akash, thanks
So
Shrutika.
yeah, Mugdha, before quickly going
Sure.
to next question. So this is what the Stackbit had a theme in their previous version, I can say. So it is. So I will just go to the preview of it, and if you see the options and all are also different because it is the earlier version. So if I go to documentation, it gives me this look and feel. So I really like this as a doc site. So I'm not sure why they like had it off from the this version, and I hope they really add something like this back. So this is what I wanted to show. So this is still available as a repository in GitHub, but it no more gives you a visual editor accessibility that you can edit this theme visually. But it is still there as a repository in GitHub, so you can still have it in your GitHub repository and then work on it. So yeah, Mugdha, thanks.
Yeah, the next question, Akash, is from Anirban. So
Yeah.
he's asking, can I choose private cloud to build a Jamstack site as database?
Can I build private?
Can I choose private cloud to build a Jamstack site as database? I mean, he is asking if you can
So
choose a cloud,
do you mean that use a private cloud to host it?
host it. Yeah. Anirban, can you clarify your
Yeah, I
question?
think that
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is
sure. So yeah, hi Akash.
yeah.
So
Hi.
yeah, so my question is because in some organization like we have some data compliance that we cannot host
Correct.
it on our data to a free version or free
True. True.
place. So that is my basically question.
Yeah. So it definitely can be done. I may not be able to tell the how part, but I can tell you it's possible because when I had this as a POC to a client, for him also I showcased him this is what it can be done, and he said, okay, I will have my tech team on it that how we can deploy it on our own network because of course their content was like crucial as well. They didn't want to host it just on a public cloud. So that's definitely possible, but it may need some architecture and some technicalities that how it can be done.
Just to add to it, the
Yeah,
easiest way is you generate the site locally and FTP it to your doc site, private cloud or wherever that you want it to. That's the most easiest way of doing it.
correct.
But you
Thank-
miss out on the CI/CD, integration deployment stuff. But
True.
this is the most easiest way.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks Anirban, thanks Akash. So the next question is from Abhishek Paul. He is asking, is the website optimized for all platforms? You can unmute Abhishek and clarify your message
Yeah,
question if you want.
I think by platform he means on a phone or on a tablet. That is what he means.
Yes.
Devices.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes. It is definitely optimized for all the platforms. So that is what I also like pointed out as an advantage. So traditional website had that challenge. They require different way of coding when it had to be a certain platform. But with Jamstack, it is like compatible with all the devices or all the views. It does not require a separate way of coding. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Manisha had a few questions which have been answered in the chat by Anandita and Xavier. So on top of that, Manisha, do you have any more questions for Akash? We can take them up quickly.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, kudos to you, Akash, for this excellent presentation. It's quite insightful.
Thank you.
So, apart from these two questions, I have one more question. Like, how do you handle versioning in Netlify when you have to maintain multiple version of the same doc that is going out with each release? So, can we add a drop down wherein we list all the version like release 1.0, 2.0?
Uh, I'm not sure if versioning can be handled by Netlify, but versioning is handled by GitHub. So that is where your content versioning is handled. But as a Netlify, I think one way, I'm not sure it is just what I am thinking, but one way can be like having a copy of the repository, which will be your version 2, and then deploying that repository as a different version of DocSet is what I am thinking. But I will have to see if there is something like that which is like possible in Netlify, because as far as I know, Netlify is takes care of the deployment and hosting, but the versioning part I will have to research a bit more.
Okay, because the way you are explaining, I think it would help with the latest release. What if we have customer who would like to refer to some old release document? Like right now we are at 2.0, and there is a customer who is still at 1.0 and would like to refer the document for the same. So we get this functionality wherein we give a drop down box and so that the customer can refer to the release to a particular release.
Right.
Manisha, if I can add to that, yes, you can do that. It depends on the SSG that you are choosing. For example, Docker Cirrus, there's an SSG that allows you to do versioning. Things allows versioning. The other way, if you're using, say, Hugo or Netlify, 11T to generate your documentation, you can do what Akash suggested. You could create 2 versions of it and host it on different domains and point it to v1.docs.something or v2.docs.something.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Javier for adding. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Akash. Thank you, Xavier.
Thank you. Yeah.
So are there any quick questions? We can take up a few. It's actually close to. We are ending this close to ending the session. But if anyone has any quick questions, we can take them up.
I have one.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Hi Akash. Sorry, I joined a little late. A very nice presentation.
Thank
My
you.
question is, can this website be integrated? Say, for example, our CCMS is Data 2, the author is Oxygen, the output is HTML files. So can your site be integrated in a way that the documents get published here and it is continuous delivery sort of thing?
I can say for data, this cannot be something. So this Jamstack or SSGs are specifically for markup languages. The content is as a part of written in markup languages. So I'm not sure if data can do that. So definitely, if it, like earlier Xavier said, if data it is converted to data to markdown and then it is like pushed to GitHub and the repository where it is residing. So that is how it can be pulled by the website when it is building. So this website mostly pulls the markdown the content which is in the form of markup, which may be markdown or ASCII or whatever the static site is made of. Yeah.
Got you. Thank you. Thanks
Yeah.
for clarifying.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I think we are done with all the questions in the chat as well as in person. Akash has shared the site link in the chat, so you all can check it out. I have pasted it, which he built during the demo. Okay, Akash, can you please switch on your video if it's possible?
Okay, I just have to connect the cam to my desktop. So if you
Okay,
can give me a minute.
Yeah, sure. Puneet, in the meanwhile, once Akash switches on the video, after that, Puneet, you can share your slide for announcing the winners. Okay, so we have the winners for social media. Anandita Basu, she has been a winner for the social media contest. And for the quiz question, Aishwarya is the winner for for the quiz question contest. And the second one, fastest finger, has been Xavier, Raghavendra, and Manasi Bhalerao. So congratulations, all of you. And others, I think Puneet, they have participated in the quiz. Is that am I correct?
Yeah, they are the second. They are the second closest, but based on the fastest finger, we can give only to top three.
Okay, okay, okay.
So thank you to them basically participating.
Okay, hello there, Akash.
Yeah, hello, hello.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, just before we end, I want to thank Xavier. So he's the one I attended his session on Jamstack, and that's when I was curious and learned about it more. So yeah, thanks Xavier, and that is the reason he was answering more questions. So I'm pretty sure he is like expert in it. So yeah.
Hey, thanks, Akash. I was
Yeah.
just wondering about how people have adopted things. So that's why I joined.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining. Yeah.
Thank you, Xavier, for pitching in. So